What's up, folks? Welcome to Math Walkthroughs with Mr. Weeb. Today we are looking at adding integers, and this is our Lesson 2 action task. Let's get right into it and see what they have us doing today. It says Mika had a plus-minus score of 17, positive 17, at the end of a soccer season. Well, what does that mean? That means that you get a +1 when your team scores when you are on the field. But you, as an individual player, get a -1 point if there is a point scored against you while you're on the field. So now it asks us to write 3 possible combinations of plus scores and negative scores that could have led to Mika's score. Let's put a table in here. This should keep all of our information nicely organized. So let's say that while she was on the field, her team scored 20 goals. Okay, so we know that her total always has to be 17. So how many goals scored against her team need to happen for her to have a total of 17? Well, there would be 3 negative goals, because 20 plus -3, and we can write this down, 20 plus -3 is going to equal 17. There's your equation. All right, let's start at a different place. How about instead of having 20 goals, how about while she was on the field, they scored 35 goals. Okay, we still have a total of 17. It's possible that that could have happened. Well, then she would need to take away 18 goals from that. So maybe there were 18 goals scored against them. So that would mean 35 plus 18 negative points will give you 17. For our last possibility, we know that we can't be less than 17, right? Because if we had, let's say, 15 points, and then we added 0 negative points to it, the total would be 15. So let's just take that out right away. We're not going to use that. What we could use is we could just say, well, 36. And then if we took away 1 more in the negatives, that would still give us a total of 17. So our equation would look like this. 36 plus -19, right? We added 1 to the positives, we added 1 to the negatives, still gives us a 17. And don't forget that we need to write addition sentences to describe our situations. So I might say something like this. It could have been 20 and -3, or 35 and -18, or 36 and -19. For the next question, it says, use counters to show how one of your combinations is correct. I'm going to use the one with the least number of counters. So let's look at that first one, 20 positive points and 3 points against, 3 negative points. So here I have 20 counters in groups of 5, right? We've got 5, 10, 15, 20. That's from here. Then we need to add our 3 negatives. So we'll just add our 3 negatives. That means these are 0 pairs. So what we're left with is we've got 5, 10, 15, 16, 17. And I might write it in a sentence like this. I put 20 positive counters out, made 0 pairs with the 3 negative points, and was left with 17. Next it says, use a number line to model another of your combinations. I've chosen to represent this one right here, where we start with 36 points, and then we have to subtract 19, or have to add 19 negative points. So let's go ahead and do that. We start with 36, and we are starting with 36, adding 19 negative points. So 36, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That's the way we're going. We added 19 negative points, and we end up at 17. Finally, it says, choose a plus-minus score that is a negative number. Write 2 combinations of scores that could lead to that total. I've set up another table just so that we can keep our information organized. Let's see, this person, when they were on the field, their team didn't score a lot of points. Let's say they only scored 1 point the entire time they were on the field. But there were, let's say, 3 goals scored against them. Well, what would that look like as an equation? We would have 1 goal, 1 positive, and then we're adding a bunch of negative goals. So we add -3. And what do we get? Well, let's see if we put this with some, if we use some counters to figure this out, okay? Here's 1 counter, and then we're adding 3 more counters. We can eliminate those 0 pairs because that's like 0 plus -2. So what we're left with is 2 negative counters, and we're going to have that as our total, or -2. Okay, another option here. Let's say they scored slightly more goals. Let's say they scored 5 goals while they were on the field, but they would have to have more goals scored against them for that player to get a negative total. So let's say they scored 6 goals against. Okay, so we start with 5. We add 6 negatives. And what do we end up with? Well, let's write it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positive counters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can tell that these are all 0 pairs. So we don't need to worry about those. We just look at the one that's left over, which is 1 negative. So we've got a score of -1 here, and the total is -1. That's it for today. Thanks for watching.